Have you ever looked at the ocean and thought it was calm, peaceful, predictable? Because it's not. Beneath the surface, there is a world that never rests. A place where every second is a silent calculation, where survival depends not on strength alone, but on intelligence, patience, and perfect timing. A sudden flicker of color appears among the rocks of a coral reef. At first, it seems like nothing, just another shadow, another ripple of light. But then it moves. An octopus. Not just any creature, but one of the most intelligent beings in the ocean. Its body has no bones, no rigid structure. It can compress itself, reshape, disappear into spaces no larger than its own eye. But what truly makes it extraordinary is something far more advanced. Its skin. Millions of specialized cells allow it to change color, pattern, and even texture in an instant. In less than a second, it can transform from a rough rock into smooth sand, from pale coral into dark shadow. It doesn't run. It doesn't chase. It waits, watching, learning, calculating. Some scientists believe the octopus possesses a form of intelligence completely different from anything else on Earth. With around 500 million neurons, comparable to a small dog, it can solve puzzles, open containers, and even remember solutions for months. But unlike mammals, most of its neurons are not in its brain. They are in its arms. Each tentacle can think, react, and make decisions almost independently, as if the octopus has multiple minds working together at once. Now imagine what that means in a world where hesitation can mean death. A small crab moves slowly across the sand, unaware it is being observed. The octopus doesn't move. Not yet. It blends perfectly into the background, becoming invisible even at close range. Seconds pass, then more, and then, in a movement faster than the human eye can track, 8 arms explode outward. The crab has no time to react. It's over before it even begins. This is not brute force. This is precision, intelligence, strategy. But not all creatures in the ocean rely on speed or deception. Not far from this silent hunter, another figure moves through the water in complete contrast. Slow, effortless, timeless. A green sea turtle. While the octopus represents rapid adaptation, the turtle represents something entirely different: endurance. It glides through the water with calm, deliberate movements, conserving energy with every stroke of its powerful flippers. Its shell, a living shield, has protected it for more than 100 million years. Long before humans existed, long before modern oceans formed, the turtle was already here. It doesn't rush. It doesn't panic, because it doesn't need to. In a world filled with predators, speed is one way to survive, but patience is another. The turtle lowers its head and begins to feed on seagrass, gently grazing across the ocean floor. It may look like a simple act, almost insignificant, but in reality, this behavior is essential. By feeding, the turtle prevents the grass from overgrowing and decaying. It stimulates new growth, keeping the entire ecosystem healthy. Without realizing it, this ancient creature maintains balance in an environment that supports hundreds of other species. And that is the hidden truth of the ocean. Every movement matters. Every action, no matter how small, has consequences. Because beneath the surface, everything is connected. The hunter and the prey, the fast and the slow, the intelligent and the enduring. And in this vast blue world, there is only one rule: adapt or disappear. Welcome to the mysteries of the ocean, a world where survival is never guaranteed, where beauty hides danger, and where even the smallest creature can change the balance of life itself. If you want to discover how this hidden world really works, and what is now threatening its existence, make sure to subscribe, because what you're about to see next will change the way you look at the ocean forever. Let's go deeper If you could zoom out from the open ocean and look closer at the coastline, you would discover something surprising. The most powerful ecosystems on Earth are not in the deep sea. They are here, in shallow water. At first glance, it doesn't look extraordinary. Sunlight reaches the bottom. The waves move gently. Everything feels calm. But beneath this calm surface lies one of the most important systems on the entire planet. Seagrass meadows, endless underwater fields stretching across the ocean floor, swaying slowly with the current like a living carpet. They may not look impressive, but they are, because these simple plants are doing something extraordinary. They are capturing carbon, massive amounts of it. In fact, seagrass can absorb up to 35 times more carbon dioxide than tropical rainforests. Let that sink in. While forests on land are often seen as the lungs of the planet, these underwater meadows are working silently, storing carbon deep beneath the seabed for centuries, slowing climate change, cooling the ocean, stabilizing entire ecosystems. But that's only the part of the story. These meadows also act as natural engineers. They reduce wave energy, protecting coastlines from erosion. They trap sediments, keeping the water clear and full of sunlight. And most importantly, they create life. A green sea turtle glides slowly above the grass, lowering its head to feed. It takes one bite, then another. Simple, but essential. Because without this grazing, the grass would grow too thick, block sunlight, and eventually collapse under its own weight. The turtle doesn't know it, but it is maintaining balance. Below, hidden between the blades, something else is happening. Small fish move cautiously through the grass. Tiny crabs hide in the shadows. Seahorses cling to stems, barely moving. This is not just a meadow. It's a nursery, a place where young creatures grow in safety before entering the open ocean, where survival becomes much harder. Without these shallow waters, many species would never reach adulthood. But the journey doesn't stop here, because just beyond the seagrass lies another critical layer of protection. Mangroves, strange trees that grow where most plants cannot survive, in salty water, shifting tides, and unstable ground. Their roots rise above the surface, twisting and branching in every direction, forming a dense and chaotic network. At first glance, it looks like a mess, but it's not. It's a fortress. These roots break the force of waves, protecting coastlines from storms and rising sea levels. But below the surface, they create something even more valuable, a safe haven. Juvenile fish weave through the roots, avoiding predators. Shrimp and mollusks find shelter in the shadows. Entire ecosystems begin here, hidden, protected, growing. In these tangled roots, future hunters are born. A young snapper moves slowly, learning to navigate the maze. Not far away, a sea lion glides through deeper water, practicing its first hunting attempts. This is where survival skills are developed, where instinct becomes precision. Without mangroves, these early stages of life would be exposed, and most would not survive. And eventually, as they grow stronger, faster, more confident, they leaving behind the safety of the roots, and heading toward one of the most extraordinary places on Earth, the coral reef, a place where life doesn't just exist, it explodes. The moment you enter a coral reef, everything changes. The calm disappears. In its place, movement, color, chaos. Life is everywhere. Coral reefs cover less than 1% of the ocean floor, yet they support nearly 25% of all marine life on Earth. That's not just impressive, it's overwhelming. These structures are not rocks. They are alive. Built over thousands of years by billions of tiny organisms called coral polyps, reefs form vast underwater cities, filled with tunnels, shelters, and hidden pathways. Every space is occupied. Every second matters. Bright reef fish dart between coral branches, flashing colors that seem almost unreal. Cleaner fish set up stations where larger animals line up to have parasites removed. Crabs, shrimp, and countless small creatures hide in the smallest crevices. It looks like harmony, but it isn't. Because behind this beauty is constant tension. Every creature here is part of a system, a balance so precise that even a small disruption can cause everything to collapse. Herbivores, like parrotfish, graze on algae, preventing it from suffocating the coral. Small fish maintain the lower levels of the food chain. And predators keep everything in check. But today, one of the most important predators is missing. The shark. Once, sharks ruled these reefs. They were everywhere. Now, they are almost gone. Due to overfishing, shark populations have declined by more than 90% worldwide. And without them, the balance begins to break. Only in a few remote places, like the reefs of French Polynesia, can we still witness what a healthy reef truly looks like. During the day, gray reef sharks appear almost motionless, suspended in the current, calm, controlled, patient. Small, cleaner fish approach them without fear, removing parasites from their skin and even from their teeth. It's a strange moment of peace between predator and prey, but it doesn't last, because when the sun disappears, everything changes. Darkness transforms the reef into a battlefield. Visibility drops, fear rises, and for the sharks, this is their advantage. They don't rely on sight alone. They can detect the smallest vibrations, the faintest movements. A fish hiding deep within the coral might think it's safe, but it's not. Some freeze completely, hoping not to be detected. Others remain hidden, barely breathing, because in the dark, movement means death. A small fish makes a mistake. It shifts position, just slightly, but it's enough. A shadow moves, fast, too fast to escape, but the reef holds another secret, another hunter. The white-tipped reef shark. Smaller, more flexible, more aggressive. Unlike the gray reef shark, it can enter tight spaces, slipping between coral branches where other predators cannot go. And this changes everything. Because now, there is no safe place. Fish hiding deep inside the reef are flushed out, forced into open water. And waiting there is the gray reef shark. This is not random hunting. This is strategy, coordination. Two predators working together, turning the entire reef into a trap. With every second, more sharks arrive, drawn by movement, by vibration, by opportunity. What once seemed like a colorful paradise becomes something else entirely. A system of pressure, of control, of balance, because as brutal as it looks, this is what keeps the reef alive. Sharks don't destroy ecosystems. They protect them. By controlling populations of mid-level predators, they prevent overconsumption of smaller species, maintaining stability throughout the entire food web. Without sharks, the chain breaks, and when that happens, the reef doesn't just weaken, it begins to die. But even the most powerful ecosystems on Earth are not prepared for what is coming, because this threat does not hunt, it does not chase, and it can't be seen. It is everywhere. The ocean is warming, slowly, almost imperceptibly, but relentlessly. Since the late 19th century, the average temperature of the ocean's surface has increased by about 1 degree Celsius. That may not sound like much, but in the ocean, it changes everything. Coral reefs, the very foundation of marine life, are extremely sensitive. Inside every coral lives something invisible, microscopic algae. These tiny organisms do more than just exist. They provide up to 90% of the coral's energy through photosynthesis. And they give reefs their incredible colors. The reds, the blues, the glowing yellows. All of it comes from them. But when the water becomes too warm, the coral reacts. It expels the algae, a stress response, an act of survival, but one that comes at a terrible cost. Without the algae, the coral loses its color, and more importantly, its primary source of energy. What remains is something haunting, a white, lifeless structure, a ghost of what once was alive. This is coral bleaching, and it is happening now, across the entire planet. On the Great Barrier Reef, the largest reef system on Earth, stretching over 2,300 kilometers, massive bleaching events have already caused irreversible damage. During extreme heat waves in recent years, more than 1,000 kilometers of reef were severely affected. In some regions, over 50% of shallow water coral died within just months. Think about that. Thousands of years of growth, gone in a single season. And it doesn't stop there. Because even if temperatures drop again, recovery is not guaranteed. If the heat lasts too long, the coral cannot survive. Entire reef systems collapse. At the same time, another invisible process is taking place. The ocean is becoming more acidic. It absorbs nearly 30% of all carbon dioxide produced by human activity. And as CO2 levels rise, ocean chemistry changes. This reduces the availability of carbonate ions, the building blocks corals need to grow their skeletons. Without them, coral growth slows, structures weaken, recovery becomes harder. In some regions, coral growth rates have already dropped by more than 15%, which means even surviving reefs are struggling to rebuild. Recent global studies reveal something even more alarming. More than 80% of the world's reefs have been exposed to heat levels capable of causing bleaching in just the last few years. And when ocean temperatures stay just 1.5 degrees above normal for several weeks, coral mortality can exceed 70%. This is not a distant future. This is happening now. And if current trends continue, many reefs could lose their ability to recover entirely before 2050. But the loss of coral is not just the loss of color. It is the loss of life. Because coral reefs support nearly a quarter of all marine species. Fish lose their shelter. Predators lose their hunting grounds. Entire ecosystems begin to unravel. What was once a vibrant city of life becomes a silent graveyard. And yet, even now, there are places where hope still exists. Far from the warm tropical waters, beyond the coral reefs and sunlit shallows, the ocean becomes colder, rougher, more unpredictable. Here, powerful storms churn the surface, dragging nutrients from the depths and bringing them into the light. And because of this, life explodes. These cold, nutrient-rich waters are among the most productive ecosystems on Earth. And hidden beneath the surface lies something extraordinary. A forest, not of trees, but of kelp. Giant kelp forests rise from the ocean floor, stretching upward toward the sunlight. Some reach heights of over 50 meters, forming dense underwater canopies that sway with the current. They are often compared to tropical rainforests, and for good reason. They provide shelter, food, and protection for hundreds of species. Fish weave through the long, ribbon-like fronds. Crabs crawl along the stems. Entire communities thrive in this vertical world. But like all ecosystems, this one depends on balance. And that balance is maintained by an unexpected guardian, the sea otter. Small, curious, playful, but absolutely essential. Sea otters feed on sea urchins, small, spiny creatures that live on the ocean floor. At first glance, urchins don't seem dangerous, but they are, because they eat kelp relentlessly. If left unchecked, they multiply rapidly and spread across the seabed, devouring everything in their path. Entire kelp forests can disappear turning rich ecosystems into barren, lifeless zones. But where otters are present, everything changes. Floating on its back, the sea otter cracks open an urchin with a stone, exposing the soft interior inside. It eats one, then another, and another. A single otter can consume thousands of urchins in a year, and by doing so, it protects the entire forest. This is what scientists call a keystone species. Remove it, and the entire ecosystem collapses. But this delicate balance doesn't exist everywhere. In areas where otters have disappeared, the urchins take over. Kelp forests vanish, and with them, all the life they supported. But the story of the cold ocean doesn't end here, because further north, something even more dramatic unfolds. It is spring, and in the cold waters near Alaska, a massive movement begins. From the deep ocean, enormous schools of herring emerge, millions of fish moving together in perfect synchronization. They gather in shallow waters to reproduce. But they are not alone, because this event attracts predators from all directions. Sea lions arrive first, powerful, fast, and focused. They begin herding the fish, pushing the massive school toward the surface. Above them, the sky fills with movement. Bald eagles, hundreds of them, normally solitary hunters, now gathered in one place, waiting, watching. And then they strike, diving from above, snatching fish directly from the water. But the most impressive hunters are yet to arrive. From the depths, massive shadows rise. Humpback whales. After months without food, they have traveled thousands of kilometers for this moment. And what they do next is one of the most extraordinary hunting strategies in the animal kingdom. They work together. One whale dives below the school of fish and releases a spiral of bubbles, a curtain, a trap. The fish panic, tightening into a dense cluster. And then, at a precise moment, the whales strike, bursting upward through the center of the school, mouths open wide, swallowing thousands of fish in a single movement. It is explosive, coordinated, perfect. Each whale can consume up to a ton of fish in a single day. And yet, despite this massive feeding frenzy, most of the herring survive. They reach the shallow waters, and there, they spawn, releasing millions of eggs. A new generation begins. This is the ocean cycle. Abundance, predation, survival, renewal. But today, this cycle is breaking. Overfishing has drastically reduced herring populations across the world. And when these fish disappear, everything connected to them begins to collapse. Predators lose their food, ecosystems lose their stability, entire chains of life begin to fail. Because in the ocean, nothing exists alone. Despite everything you've seen. Despite the collapse of reefs, the loss of predators, the imbalance spreading through entire ecosystems, the story of the ocean is not over. Because in some places, something incredible is happening. Recovery. In protected waters, where human pressure is reduced, where fishing is controlled, where ecosystems are allowed to breathe again, life is returning. Slowly, but powerfully. In the remote islands of Raja Ampat, once heavily overfished, sharks are coming back. Not just a few, entire populations. In some areas, there are now over 25 times more sharks than there were just a decade ago. Fish populations have increased dramatically. Coral reefs are showing signs of resilience. Balance is being restored. And it's not just sharks. Sea turtles, once hunted and declining, are returning to seagrass meadows, feeding peacefully, maintaining ecosystems just as they have done for millions of years. Massive manta rays, with wingspans of up to 7 meters, glide once again through protected waters, returning to cleaning stations they had abandoned long ago. Life is finding its way back, but this recovery is not random. It happens for one reason: protection. When fishing is limited, ecosystems stabilize. When pollution is reduced, coral can recover. When habitats are preserved, species return. Nature knows how to heal. It always has. The question is, will we give it the chance? Because outside of these protected zones, the story is very different. Overfishing continues. Pollution increases. Ocean temperatures keep rising. And in many places, the balance is already gone. Scientists estimate that nearly half of the world's coral reefs have already been lost or severely degraded. And if current trends continue, most of the remaining reefs could disappear within the next few decades. Not centuries, decades, within a single human lifetime. But here's what makes this moment so important. We already know what works. Marine reserves, sustainable fishing, reducing emissions. These are not theories. They are proven solutions. And when they are applied, the ocean responds faster than anyone expected. Fish return. Predators stabilize ecosystems. Coral begins to grow again. Even species that seemed on the edge of extinction come back. Which means the future of the ocean is not decided yet. It depends on what we do next. Because the ocean is not just a distant, separate world. It regulates the climate. It produces a significant portion of the oxygen we breathe. It feeds billions of people. It is part of our survival. And yet, most of its most important processes happen out of sight, in silence, beneath the surface. A green sea turtle glides once more through a seagrass meadow, its slow movements unchanged for millions of years. An octopus disappears into the reef, its intelligence hidden in plain sight. A shark moves through the water, restoring balance without being seen. Life continues. For now. The ocean does not need us to survive, but we need the ocean, and the future of this vast hidden world will depend on one simple question. Will we protect it, or will we watch it disappear? If this journey changed the way you see the ocean, make sure to subscribe, because the more people understand what's happening beneath the surface, the greater the chance we still have to save it. And now I want to hear from you. What do you think is the most important step we can take to protect the ocean? Let's talk about it in the comments.